Here we are, another Saturday Night Live Zoom. Saturday, June the 8th. My goodness gracious. Half the year's already gone.
Yeah.
Where's it gone? And we have our wonderful special guest here, Stephen. Is that how you pronounce it?
Steve. Yeah, Steve. That's the proper English spelling.
Nice to have you, Steve. And, you've been supporting, inspiring on the last several calls, and it's awesome to have you. And now, it's your turn to, share a little bit about your whole experiences and how you came to be and to find MasterFast and so on, and what this living this lifestyle is doing for you in this process and so on and so forth. It's still early in the game for all of us. It's only a few years is nothing really in this lifestyle. As we keep hammering into people, trying to get them to come to that understanding, the mastery takes decades. That's really all it is. And if somebody's telling you something else, okay, sure, go fall for it.
Just like everything else in life,
Yeah.
It takes time.
Yeah, it's
to master something.
Everything takes, like something what Sadhguru was saying about, once you've been doing this for 20, 30 years and you really start seeing the differences, because this is what it is, we're in that slow motion realm, I like to say. And
yeah, you can learn faster, but it all depends as well on.
Well, yeah, it depends how much focus and dedication and work you put towards it. But anyway, the floor is yours, Steve. Maybe you want to share a little bit about the background and so on and so forth. And you share little bits and pieces here and there, but this is for you, and so you can wrap it all up nicely for us.
Okay. Been a crazy path to get here, I'll tell you. I started family life. There's 5 kids. There was 5 kids, and we were just lower middle class family, like everybody else back then. Most of us,
Right.
And from what I remember, childhood, everything was fine. There was one thing though, is I never felt that I fit in anywhere. And we moved from the town I was born in, the city I was born in. We moved to the rural area when I was 7 years old. Here's another theme for me, for my whole life, was I was always petrified of change. I mean, petrified. And that I was 7 years old when we moved, and that is a memory as vivid as if it happened yesterday.
So it's like a trauma for you.
Absolutely, just that fear of that change. And I mean, once I was there, it was fine, because what I found is fear is just an illusion anyway. Once you get on the other side of it, when you're in it, for me, I mean, it's as real as this glass here, And it was the 70s, so it was crazy times here in the States. I don't know where everybody was, but here, the drinking and the drugs, we just had come out of the 60s, were rampant. I mean, absolutely rampant. And I found them. 9 years old, I started drinking.
Wow.
First drink was at 9 years old. And a bunch of us in the neighborhood, we were all, all the kids, we were all pretty much the same age. I mean, obviously, you're not drinking like an adult, so it didn't go, but not far. By 12, 13, I was already in big trouble with it. Already in big trouble. My parents, my 2 older brothers, were pretty bad too with the drinking and the drugging. And they were so busy with them. I learned from a very early age just to stay under the radar, So I was never, pretty much did what we wanted to do. And all the families of my friends were the same way. I don't know. It was pretty strange looking back on it. And, by 16, I was full-blown alcoholic. no question.
Wow.
Full blown. 14 years old, I started morning drinking before school. That's just crazy. It was crazy. I mean, full blown addiction. And it didn't stop. Never stopped. And I never wanted it to stop. I didn't care about much. It numbed that fear. You know? And that went forward. That kept on until I was 37 years old. You know? That's the time when I stopped, when I was finally able to stop the drinking and the drugging. And the drugs were just as bad as the drinking. So it was a 27-year addiction, 28-year.
What kind of drugs?
Active use. And crazy behavior in that time. I don't even want to go into it because it's not about that. It's just, you know, in a period, I'll tell you one, in a period of like 12 years, I was married 3 times and had 4 DUIs and thought nothing of it. It was just, and that's a theme. Unfortunately, that's a theme for a lot of people who got sober, you know, same. We took hostages. And that, I'm not proud of any of it, but it was what it was. And the last marriage, my daughter was born in 1991. There was finally something on this planet that was starting to penetrate that wall, and it was her birth. It took almost 5 years. Her brother came 2 years later. But by the time he came, I mean, I was gone. I was so far gone. I didn't even know that kid. I don't think I touched him his first, you know, I don't recall holding him his first year of his life, first 2 years.
Wow.
Yeah. It owned me, absolutely owned me. So when we speak of addiction, I know well what we speak of. And finally, one Sunday morning, I came to, which I always did because I never slept. I passed out. I drank for one reason, to get to black out, to go to oblivion. And I got there pretty much. And I drank every day. And near the end, there was I didn't have much longer on this earth, put it that way. I was that close. I lost all ability. One drink and I was gone. No, I lost all tolerance. That's end stage. That's the end stage of the addiction. The next stage is just death. So I was that close with it. And again, I didn't care. I simply didn't care until that child was born. And slowly over the period of 4.5 years, she, you know, her presence worked, you know, was able to break through the wall. And again, here's another period, a moment in time that I remember as if it was yesterday. I woke up or came to on a Sunday morning, and those 2 kids I was on the couch. Those 2 kids were playing out in front of me. And it was just, I can't condemn these kids to this future because that's what I was doing. And I don't know the period of time. It wasn't very long. I don't know if it was a week, 2 weeks, a month, 2 months. It wasn't very long that I found myself in the rooms at AA. I don't know how I got there. One day I drank, the next day I didn't.
Wow.
I don't know what the change was. I know what the change was. It was divine intervention for me. I believe that. I always have. I always will. Because there was no difference between the next day and the, you know, nothing, no event that would force that change. One day I drank, the next day I didn't, and I haven't had a drink since. And May 17th was 23 years now. So it's, and it was like, not the first couple of meetings I went to, but I went to a men's group that met on and still meets on Sunday nights, a couple of towns over. And it was like coming to this website. As soon as I walked through the door, I knew it. That's where I was home. I was home. And the journey into sobriety really began that day. And it's not been easy. I'll tell you, it's not been easy. You battle it every day. You surrender to it, but you still battle it. And you know, that 7-year-old kid, that 9-year-old kid, when I stopped drinking, guess who came back? That scared little 7-year-old child came back, because that's who I was. Because that's who I was when I began drinking. That kind of act of use, you stop. Boom. I don't care what age you are. You stop emotionally. That's where your growth stops. Luckily, maturity comes back pretty quick, if you allow it to. But now what do I do? Because now I got nothing to mask that stuff. Now I have to feel all that stuff. That was tough times. Tough times.
Can you hear me, Steve?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So, I remember you mentioned a little bit like comparing that and comparing to the food. You said the food is way more addictive.
It is.
and this is the challenge we all have.
I don't know if that's because of my background.
No.
I doubt it. Addiction's addiction. The chemistry in the brain has changed. Absolutely changed. My brain scan is not the same as a person who has no addiction issues. So there's definitely chemical.
Yeah.
You have to pretty much rewire. It's not easy though. That video you posted, was it last week? That gentleman said all you need is love to overcome, it's environmental. That's BS. Absolutely BS. There's 5 kids in my family. We had the same environment. 3 of us ended up with addiction. 2 did not. Environmentally, there absolutely is a factor, but a small factor. I looked at that and I did some background because I wanted to know who the guy was, because that's a dangerous thing to say to an alcoholic that you don't need. From what my experience has been over the years I've been in, and I continue to go to meetings. I go to 4 meetings a week. Is the people that stop going to meetings end up drunk or dead, and in not very long time. Not long time. Absolutely cannot. It would be like trying to do. There are pioneers like you, but it would be like any one of us trying to do this on our own, isolated. The disease of addiction, and I'm sure everybody here can relate to this, wants you isolated. Because that's where its power lies, in your isolation. That's why this site is so important.
Yeah, you have been committed from the beginning.
Yes. And I've only been here 6 months. I'm a baby. I'm a baby here with Masterfest. I had some experience the year prior with Spirit's site, which introduced me to this.
Yeah. The mucus list.
Yeah, got me in. But I was looking probably, because of some of my choices during the addiction, I ended up with hepatitis C, needle use, whatever. It was never a poor me. It was just I've always taken responsibility. I've never had that problem of pointing fingers at anybody. I did what I did, period. End of discussion. I accept responsibility. And, 25 years later, I had a consequence of an action. So, at that time, I had no idea about fasting or any of that stuff. I was changing my diet. I'll tell you that at that point. The meat was starting to go away. Even as a kid, I don't know if anybody else can relate to this. Even as a teenager, I knew something was wrong with the society. And the consumption, the consumptive society. I'm like, there's no way that this can continue. And yet here I am 40 years later, and it's, it's near its end, in my opinion. We're near the end on that. But so I knew as a kid that something was off and not right. Unfortunately for me, the booze got in the way, which is okay. It was what it was. So anyway, I chose to treat the virus, and I was on those meds it took 15 months to clear the virus. And those are powerful meds. Those are cancer meds.
Ah.
Did it clear it?
Oh yeah, the interferon. That was an original cancer med. Antiviral was called ribavirin, which is, I'll tell you, I took that pill at 7 o'clock on a Friday morning, the first dose. I was sick at 9 o'clock, and I was sick for 15 months. I lost 55 pounds. I mean, for me, it was just devastating. And one of the byproducts with one of the, I think it was the antiviral, is it killed my red cells. So it was pretty much walking around for 15 months down 2 pints of blood. And our great insurance industry here in the country, the meds could have got me up to a better level. But if I had hit a certain level, the insurance company would have said, you don't need it anymore. Even though what was causing it was one drug. So they were trying to, whatever. It was my path. There was another fella that the guy was treating, had the same path. He said, you only two. I was like, well, it was what it was. And I got through it. Part of it put me in my bedroom for a long time because I couldn't do much. I could manage work for about 2 hours, 3 hours. That was it. Just couldn't. And the drugs are just, as devastating as they were physically, they really screw with your head. Psychologically, it was devastating. There was such an underlying rage. I mean rage, not anger. I never went to anger. I went to rage. And it came, boy, did it manifest during that time. It did when I was drinking. I never knew it was going to come up. That never ended well, obviously. But during the treatment, oof, brutal. So it put me in my bedroom a lot. And that fed into the addiction of the isolation. So as sick as I was kind of happy. Didn't have to deal with anything, and it was it's funny.
It was a different escape.
It's just funny how addiction affects you. It's amazing. It's totally, the power in it is incredible. And what it does psychologically. So, I've learned over the years, and it's taken years because I didn't know how to do anything. Like I say, at age 37, I'm a 7-year-old kid, afraid to do anything. So it's taken years to allow some of them, and I never felt, if anything, any emotion would try to come through, I would just drink it down. I wasn't going to deal with it. I could not handle it. So again, at 37, coming in and clearing all that stuff out. Now I have to feel and deal with all these things, and not knowing how to do that whatsoever. It's taken years in the rooms to learn how
Steve,
to.
Can I mention something?
Sure.
Have you worked with your inner child?
What's that?
Have you worked? Just 1 second. I'll take the earphones off. 1 second.
She said, have you worked with your inner child?
No. Nope. I don't know how to get there.
I see.
I still have problems with emotions. I'm probably choosing not to engage with them.
I repeated it for you, Inga.
All right. Okay. Now I say now. Have you ever talked to your inner child?
No.
No, because what I see, it's very important. Go to that moment when that boy, I mean, you're talking about 7-year-old, what he was seeking at that moment when you were locked in the room. And now you as adult aspect of that child, you can help him so much to heal and let that emotion come up, what you are holding in yourself. Because I would say there's probably love and attention from the parents, which at that time you weren't able to get, but now as adult aspect, you can give as much as you can. And you will heal that wound, the painful, that I learned from like what I experienced in my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
It's very important, especially
Yeah,
when trauma is for
know.
the children.
Yeah, I did a little work with the counselor at the beginning of the year, but I only got to so far, and I didn't go any farther with it. And then it was going back to that 7-year-old kid, or that 19-year-old kid, where another event took place that.
Of course, there is lots of aspects, but at the moment is the 7 is most, where is a really trigger is. You know. You need to love. You need to love that 7-year-old as much as you can.
I know that. Yeah, knowing and doing for me are two different things. I know everything. I understand. I'm very intelligent, very well read.
But I need to do it.
Connecting the intellect and the emotion is such a challenge for me.
For everyone.
The first fast started getting there. That first fast, you know, when I found here, I started with Spira, and I knew about a year before I got here, a little longer, and I knew it wasn't correct path because they're focused on the diet, and I knew from the very first time I went on a fast that the answers were in the fast, not in the food. I knew that because I did 94-hour drive during that period, but that had no power because I ate right up to the day I started doing the dry, and I ate straight after. So it took at least 48 hours just to get to, you know, physically, and then I was out of it. Zero power in it. The first dry I did in MFS was like, I get it. I knew. And that's what I say. And that's how I found you, because Alice Copeland posted in, do you know who Alice is? Fasting with Alice?
Yeah.
Anyway, she put a post on Spear's site, and that's interesting. So I looked into her site, and she mentioned your protocol and MFS, and that's how I found here. And it's like, as soon as I logged on and started reading, I'm like, I think in 5 minutes, 5 minutes, took all of 5 minutes to buy in, you know, literally pay to open it up. It was like walking into the first meeting. I knew I was home. And that was late December of last year. And I purchased all the tinctures, and January 3rd, I started the first fast. So it might sound like it's quick, but I had that experience prior, you know, a little bit of that experience prior.
Just thinking, the tinctures, because of the alcohol, what are you doing with them?
I either let it set overnight, or I just warm it up, and then 140 degrees, the alcohol's gone.
Yeah, it doesn't bother you.
Not at all.
No, you're dealing with the spirit of the herbs. That's what I'm asking.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the medicine. It's just some people are very scared to touch alcohol.
I'm asking you because from where you came from with that,
for sure.
And there's so many people that came and they were terrified because of the alcohol. And I'm saying this has nothing to do with what you were doing.
You're really worried about it. Just heat it up.
Yeah.
140 degrees, the alcohol's gone. So no, that's never been an issue.
Good.
That wouldn't be anything I would want to drink anyway.
Yeah.
Too strong.
I like the taste of them, but you don't want to be drinking it.
Oh, yeah, I like the taste of it too. I always like the taste of it. So it's been an incredible, but again, just trying to connect the intellect and the emotion is so challenging for me.
Well, you're on the page a bit. I see you. And what do you see out there? It's all that.
Sure.
People cannot connect with the emotion. They're focused on the physical, the physical, the physical. When all these emotions start coming up, they're focusing on the physical. And you're not going to be able to find that resolution. You need to allow that to surface and let it flow. Let it go. That they're coming to the surface because we need to deal with it. All the weaknesses come to the surface. I remember you mentioned you had an anger burst at work or something. Yeah. So yeah, because these are locked up. So these things are being released, and if we don't have that understanding that these are all good signs, we're going to get ourselves in trouble because we're going to look at it as all negative. When in fact it's the complete opposite. It's what the spirit is helping you with to allow resolution. And it's going to take time. It's not going to happen overnight.
And anytime I wanted to change a behavior, I knew I was going to be tested by it. So
Right.
be tested. I had zero patience when I stopped drinking for anything. No patience whatsoever. And might sound corny, but I forced myself into the grocery store on the busiest afternoon of the week, just so, and I forced myself to stay in line until I was able to do it without being angry.
Wow.
And patience after that, I'm still not the most patient. I'm still not the most patient, but I'm better. That's all I can say. It's better.
Yeah, sorry about that.
That's okay. Not a problem.
Yeah. I got to always answer because it could be my mom.
Oh, yeah. No. Totally understandable.
Yeah.
So, yeah, every time I've tried to change something, and it fights back hard. Anything that I try to change, and I'm sure it's the same with everybody. I'm no different than anybody else. But it fights back so damn hard. So hard. Even after 23 years of sobriety, it's still, everything is still such a challenge on a daily basis.
And this is where the support is so critical, and so many just don't grasp that. They all think, oh, I'm going to go off on my own, and good luck. In today's society, good luck.
No way.
Good luck. Yeah. I need this more today than I ever did. Look, I did it, all those years I did it all on my own. I needed more today to support more than you guys.
I used to go to 3 meetings a week. That's all I could do in the beginning because of the way my family structure was. And I go to more meetings today than I did when I first got there. So, yeah, I get it. I get that. Especially today. And I know, I don't know about anybody else, but I know there's no way I could do this master fast by myself. I wouldn't do the work. I wouldn't do it. My makeup is not that way. I always want the easier way out. So I fight that all the time too, and I'm sure everybody else does too. I don't want to do the work. I want that instant gratification. I don't want to start at the beginning. I want to be at the end, and I don't want to I don't want to deal with what's in between those 2 points. Hence the alcoholism.
Yep, or the foodism. No difference.
But again, it's no fast that I've broken well yet. I can go 2 days, and I'm probably going to go to level 5 because I can handle 2 days. I get to day 3. I'll never eat meat again. It's never meat. It's always like a grain or something with wheat. Usually it's a wheat product.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. But once you the more you fast, the easier it is to stay on track. It's easier to follow when you eat more days.
Yeah, I have that kidney issue that keeps popping up.
Yeah, I was just going to ask that because
I'm going back on either tomorrow or Monday.
no, but now you've shared what happened and stuff, and now more of an understanding is coming through of why you're going through so many of these.
Oh yeah, oh no, I know exactly what it was. I always knew what it was.
Yeah.
There's no self-delusion whatsoever.
But the beauty is the body's working on it.
Oh yeah. Oh, it works well.
Yeah, that's right. The spirit is actually working on the body when you're getting into these fasting states. Just embrace it and continue, because you will find resolution eventually. 100% will never be 100%. There's no such thing as 100%. It's continuously effort every single day, like you're saying. We put that effort every single day. We work at it every single day. We love ourselves. We put the time and energy and focus every single day on ourselves. That's what else are we going to do? What else are we going to do? Give up?
No. I'll never go back. I can't. I have the knowledge now. I don't have all the knowledge, but I have enough knowledge to know that I can never go back, ever. And as far, and I'll get to where I want to be. Unfortunately, I won't get there tomorrow.
Wow.
I have to do I got to do the work, but that's okay. But there's such power, and there's such power in the dry.
Oh yeah.
I finally made the last fast I was trying for 21 to 40. I made 18 before the kidney thing. And
Days, you mean?
Days.
Yeah.
Days. It came up pretty quick. It actually came up within 4 days, but it didn't get really severe till like 14, and then I just pushed 18. I just couldn't go with work. I just couldn't do it.
Yeah.
I don't have the luxury of being retired yet, so I had a break. But
That's fine.
I have a solid plan going forward. I know exactly how this year is going to come out as far as what I'm going to do fasting wise. So while the intent is there, like I say, I'm going to go back on either tomorrow or Monday and go. I'll just go as far as I'll go. It's hard for me with the kidney. It's hard for me to say I'm going to do 21. I don't know where it's going to stop. I don't know where that will bring it.
Your first one, what did you do? 70?
62.
62. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, the last probably 30 days, I was really fighting the kidneys. The last 2 weeks were just. I mean, I know you said you were bedridden. I would be standing at the machine. I'm a machinist. I program, and I mean, I would actually be doubling over.
Wow.
Yeah, I mean, it was the physicality of it was. I think I was more angry, not at the pain, that I knew I was not going to make my 108. That again goes back to the addictive personality and that fear of failure. Always that fear of failure. That was always a huge. I'm so driven, and it goes straight to the addictions. There's no other factor in it. That perfectionism.
What you've shared and what you've accomplished, that's no failure.
No.
That's massive.
In the mind, it is.
Yeah, well, that's a different story.
Absolutely. No, I know it's not. Again, intellectually, I understand that. Emotionally, no, I don't. No.
This is why, in the last few months we're saying forget about 108. Don't do 108. Don't do 108. Forget it. Don't do it until you're ready. Which will take a few years for most people, because we've seen the emotions that come up on people. They just can't handle it, and they start blasting at everybody and their mother because they just don't have the understanding.
I want so bad to purge that stuff. It's been such a long road with that stuff.
Yeah.
But again, I don't. No, it's just been for the emotion. It's been so hard, so difficult.
Work in progress continues.
It is. It is, and luckily it's practice, not perfection. That's what we say in AA. You know, just don't pick up that drink.
Right.
You know, and in the first 62, I think 2 weeks in, I started doing a weekly colonic. Whoa. Enemas have nothing on the colonic. And the stuff that started coming out here at home during the enemas. And what you just posted, Ron, I had one that 2 weeks, 3 weeks ago. My last one was this week, but then the one prior was, so it's been 2 weeks. I think that sucker was 4 feet long.
Yeah.
I just kept watching it go through the tube. I'm like, holy shit. I found a really good hydrologist. She's fantastic. She embraces what she does. She's really good at what she does. It's a spiritual experience with her. And then I had started a few years back with a massage therapist. And I started up with him again. And again, just a master at what he does. He's fantastic. And we've had discussions about, because he asked me, I just had a session with him Wednesday, and he said, so how's your hydration today? I said, probably better than yours. He said, how much water do you drink? I said, none. What? So we had a lengthy discussion about hydration.
Yeah. That's a difficult one for people to understand, but hey, I couldn't wrap my head around it until I started experiencing it.
Especially in the dry. I thought I would be dehydrated in the dry, and I never was. Never. And I made my first, I was just shy of 72 during the last 18. So I made my first 3 day.
Awesome.
I mean, of a real dry, not like I was last year. And that was incredibly powerful, both spiritually and physically.
Yeah, the difference is when we start cleaning out that plasma vacuum tube, I like to call it. Once that starts clearing out, everything changes. And that's what people don't have an understanding. They're eating and fasting. Okay, you can continue doing these dry fasts. It's great because you're cutting down your hours of eating and so on and so forth. But to get to the levels of what we're doing and what we're experiencing, what you've all experienced, you have to clean out that gunk that was put in through the act of adding continuously.
I'm still amazed at what's been coming out still. And I mean, I know I've only been here, but I mean, I didn't think that it was that much, because I didn't understand. I didn't understand it's coming from the cellular level. I got that understanding.
Emotional, cellular, yeah, it's all above.
It's certainly not just the bowels. It's not just the bowels. The bowels get cleaner, after a while. Fasting.
You know by the odors of when real nasty stuff, My good, where did that come from?
But I believe once the bowels are clearer, like the rest of the body starts dumping. The rest of the tissues start dumping into the bowels, but also like you have any opening.
A lot of bile. The last colonic was very little. There was one release. Most of it was bile.
Wow.
I mean, yellow,
yeah.
a lot. And then a lot of mucus.
That smells really bad.
Yeah, I've had those.
It's really bad, but you don't smell it when you're doing colonics. When you go to the bathroom after and you release it, it's very stinky.
And it can burn.
Yeah. Yeah, actually, that was part in that colonic. There was a warmth at the rectum area that I never felt in any other client. I've been doing them since that first 2 weeks. I'm not doing every week right now. I moved it to every other week. It's not the cheapest thing in the world.
No, that's great.
But it's
good for you.
So. And I don't foresee. Same with the massage. it's such an integral part of the package right now. I don't see me stopping it.
Yeah,
I don't see me ever stopping the colonic.
they're wonderful tools.
Incredible. Anybody who hasn't done them, I highly recommend them. I don't know how the Kalima,
Kolima's not bad.
yeah, how that,
It's not bad, but
conic's the highest level, is it not?
it's really smart. Yeah, really smart.
Kalima is wonderful because it's way better than an enema, and you can, you have it at home, right? So you can do them daily. The colonic with closed system, when you go the pro, right? It's you're using much more fluid, water to wash. So of course it's going to be
You can
a
also,
better washing.
yeah, you can also take in the water for like more water. You can take in more water than with the Kolima.
I can't take that much in with the enema. 2 liters.
Yeah, yeah,
It'll improve over time.
And I can't hold it.
yeah. I hear you. Yeah,
Yeah, because
Usually I can't even get the 2 liters in one shot.
yeah,
There's
you'll
always
see.
something there that's blocking, and then that comes out, and then I can get the rest in.
Yeah,
There's always a release that wants to come out.
yeah. The nervous system is not free of obstruction, so you know what I mean. Once these you keep continue over the years, you'll see you'll be able to hold more and more and more.
So I do minimum of 4 liters. Again, timing is.
yeah.
I'm finding my way because I go to the meetings. I'm out 4 nights a week. I mean, I'm finding that I'm trying to just work some kind of balancing with everything. So far everything it's working, obviously.
How long are the meetings?
Hour.
Yeah.
Hour.
Yeah, the Kolima would save you time for sure, and with the Kolima
Yeah.
would save you time, but also it's more efficient. So it's definitely a good investment.
Yeah, I've been contemplating buying a board. I probably will.
Yeah.
I don't know if my wife will like it, but that's all right.
Yeah.
She thinks I'm crazy.
Yeah, I know.
I just mentioned something to her the other day. Oh, I bought some ear candles because I have something going on in this ear, and it's probably wax. And I don't want to go to the doctor and have anything done. So I bought some ear candles, and she was cleaning the room, and she says, "What are those?" And I told her what they were, and she looked at me like I got 2 heads. I said, wait a minute, because she works in the medical field, so that
Okay.
she's a lab tech. She does all the blood work and all that stuff and tests. And I said, "You're the one always talking about holistic things." I said, "I'm doing it." I said, "And you're you're questioning me." I said, "Maybe you should look at that a little bit."
Yeah, it's once we go through all that training and stuff, it's very difficult for people to come out.
No, they don't understand it. Because I've been pretty open. I don't hide the fact. Well, I've lost a tremendous amount of weight. How do you explain the weight? I mean, at the bottom of the last 18 days, I was down to 127 pounds. When I graduated high school, I was 145. So, I mean, I'm down to like age 13.
There's
I'll probably be one of them ones, if I do the 108, that'll go to the skin and bones.
I know this is the thing, Steve. We feel we need to justify our weight loss because it's not the norm out there to fast your way to health, right? And they don't understand how much of a process it is and how long it can take. It can take years for some to put weight on. Years if they're actually doing the process. So we need to justify because we're being bombarded left, right, and center. People that are in our circle and see us losing that weight. I feel fucking great. I don't know about you.
I was just going to say the same thing. I've never felt better, ever. Ever.
That's it. Don't even talk about the weight.
Ever. I mean, literally, I'm muscles coming back. And even though I lost the muscle, I started doing some pull-ups the other day. I haven't done pull-ups since I was a kid.
Wow.
So it's building.
Yeah, we got to keep moving. We got to keep the muscles active.
I'm in the gym. That's part of my other regimen. I'm in the gym every morning.
Amazing.
The gym I go to opens up. They're open all night. I get there at 4:30 in the morning. It's beautiful.
Wow.
4:30. Yeah, that's another part. So I do my workout. I'm usually a half hour on the elliptical just to move. So all I want to do is move, keeps the legs going. I do
Yeah.
a little bit of weight, not heavy, just moving a little bit. A lot of stretching. And they got a beautiful sauna. I spend a half an hour in the sauna.
Awesome.
That is. I started doing that probably 2 months ago with the sauna. That's made a big difference too.
Was it you that
That's-
you had,
Releasing right through the skin.
yeah,
Mhm.
yeah.
It's
Was
nice
it,
to
was
do.
it you mentioned you had problem with sleeping before?
Oh yeah. Oh, yes. Insomniac all my life.
Right. Okay.
Probably a lot had to do with the drinking, you know.
Yeah, a little bit.
So when I stopped drinking, I mean I stopped sleeping. Not that I was sleeping before, but whatever. I was not conscious. Actually ended up I was on meds. I was on a sleeping med for
Wow.
probably 20 years.
Wow.
Probably 20 years.
That's a long time.
And I would try it was low dose trazodone. And I would try to wean myself off over the years. I would get down, and then I'd get down to as little as a quarter dose. The minute I hit that quarter dose, I stopped sleeping. I mean, it was the insomnia was that powerful. I can handle a lot of things, but not no sleep.
The drug does not.
Day, 2 days, 3 days, but I get into 4 or 5 days of 1 hour. I don't know anybody that can handle that.
No.
That med went away. I was finally able to conquer that last September. That was the last pharmaceutical I was on ever. And then when I started but I was taking melatonin. So I was still taking something. I was still taking something. And that, I think I'm 6 or 7 weeks free of that. So for the first time in sobriety, in the 23 years I've been sober, I'm nothing, no supplements, no nothing. Absolutely
amazing.
zero. I'm 60 years old. Arthritis started about 50. You know,
How is it now?
before I started cleaning the diet up, that's about as far as I could go in the mornings with my hand. I don't know if you can see that.
Yep.
Once I changed the diet, I could start. Now I can close the fist first thing in the morning. The arthritis is still there, but the inflammation is way down.
It will go away, in my opinion.
Oh yeah.
That's all the diet, the lack of, hopefully the lack of. And,
Yeah.
same with prostate. I've had prostate issues started at 45. And really, really the last couple of years have been really bad with that, to the point where I was contemplating doing I don't know if you're familiar with what they do with the ream job, which is just freaking barbaric, and I want nothing to do with it. And I tried the meds, I tried the medication, I tried the supplements, I forgot what they were. But I tried I tried the pharmaceuticals, I tried the natural supplements, nothing. I could never empty the bladder. There's no pressure behind it. Till I started master fasting.
Yeah. You can see now.
I can sleep through the night now. I don't get up. If I do get up, I can empty the bladder and I go right back to sleep. I mean, so in the physical realm, what master fast has done is just way light years ahead of what the medical light years.
So now you can start seeing and understanding of, as the body gets rid of these, we call them obstructions, everything starts correcting itself.
Sure, it is. And it is. It's amazing.
Yeah.
So a lot of changes. That
The arthritis.
and even with the kidneys, I don't care. I don't care about that at all. That'll release when it releases. I know that.
Yeah. When your kidneys,
I don't care. It'll come when it comes.
yeah, I believe when the kidneys open up, when your kidneys open up, your arthritis will start going away completely.
Are you filtering?
Oh yeah, in the dry, incredible.
Yeah.
Incredible.
Excellent.
Amazing.
Yeah, I mean, I was peeing every 2 hours on that 3 day. I mean, it was like, yeah. So I know this, that the cell walls release all the fluid. All comes out through the cells. So you never, and I never got thirsty. I never get hungry. I'm sure a lot of us are like this. I never get hungry until I start eating.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Once I start eating, and I don't know what the hell I'm feeding. I don't know why I can't get beyond the 2 days, but it's just the obstruction still. I'll get there. I know that.
The more we eat, the hungrier we get. The more we drink, the thirstier we get.
How about this? Maybe this is something you can do. Maybe you can make a deal with yourself that I will only eat my own food that I grow.
Right. Yeah, I grow my own food.
Yeah, like
I grow all my own food in the summer.
yeah.
All year round?
Summer. I had spinach up until February one year in the greenhouse. I have a greenhouse in the backyard. But no, I can't go year round.
You fast.
But come late March, I had lettuce in early April. You saw the picture I sent you. That's all my lettuce. That's not junk lettuce. That's all high-end stuff. That's good quality seed.
Awesome.
Yeah, my backyard is an oasis.
You save all your own seeds?
Huh?
You save all your own seeds?
A lot of them.
Yeah.
A lot of them.
Mm-hmm.
If I get a good strain I like, I'll save those.
Mm-hmm.
That's where I find my solace. That's where I can really, even before here, so I'm also involved with a community garden, and we grow for the less fortunate. We donate most of it out, and I can get into the garden and I can shut off. It's the only place I can shut the world off.
Mm.
I'm in there. I'm in the dirt. I've always had this because I started growing when I was a kid.
So
I've always had, and then not knowing why, but I've always had such a reference for the plants. So
I would
always.
Yeah, I know you're growing mainly vegetables. I would experiment with fruit trees. I know maybe it's
Yeah,
but honestly,
I don't really have the room. I wanted to, but I don't really have the.
I got a dwarf apple tree in the front yard because we don't have space in the backyard.
Yeah.
But I got a small. It's like a stick right now.
I've got a lemon tree. Same thing. It's one little stick. Try a little lemon tree. See what happens.
Yeah, lemons. Do they grow where you are?
You have to take it in the winter.
Okay. Yeah.
Cool. It'll grow.
Cool.
It'll grow.
Start experimenting with some GANS materials and some ocean water, dilute ocean water. You'll be pleasantly surprised.
Yeah, I can get to the ocean. It's not that far here.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I used to go with the ocean a lot when I was a kid, especially when I would get poison ivy. Once, twice in the ocean is gone.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah, you got poison ivy. Just go into the ocean.
Gone.
Done. Gone. 2-3 days. 2-3 trips in the ocean. It's gone.
Awesome.
Was for me anyway. So it's been quite the journey, though. Really, quite the. Scary sometimes, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
That fear is still there.
You have been through so much. You have been through so much. I mean, what are you afraid of? You have faced the worst. Like it's the worst. It's done.
That's part of the whole.
Like you're like it's not.
You want to call it? That's all part of it. Though. It's all part of it.
Like it can be any worse, right? Like thank God you were able to You
It's
know,
easy to say that. It's easy to put words to that.
Mhm.
Put that into action. It's not
I
quite
mean,
that
you
easy.
are seeing the light where you were before and where you are
Oh
today.
yeah. No, I don't discount where
Yeah.
it's been. And I haven't done it. I don't take credit for any of it. It was divine intervention, period, for me.
I think fear, yeah.
I believe
Mm.
in God. I always have.
The best, yeah. I think it's the most interesting topic, you know, today. God. It's the most interesting topic, you know?
Yeah.
Faith.
Yeah. You know, going into the rooms. Where did that 7-year-old boy wanted to be? He wanted to be with Jesus. That's where he wanted to be. And at age 13, I turned my back. That's when the drinking and all that stuff really just took off. There was no more constraints on it. Because living a spiritual life and a life of active addiction do not mesh. They do not mesh. All those lines that I said I would never cross, I always got up to them, I pushed them, and I crossed them. Things I would never do, that I would never ever do. I did.
But you know what? You came
And then when I got sober, when I came into the rooms, everything I was looking for in them 27 years I had as that 7-year-old kid. It was Jesus for me. My God. So answers are in plain sight. It was always there. Always there. And the master fast is just opening that chin. I got so far with AA. But I plateaued about 7 years ago. I've not gotten any farther as far as the spiritual growth. And once I started into master fast, that door is starting to really open up. That's where I'll find the answers to this emotional BS. I know that.
Yeah, fast.
Go within, yeah.
Hey, Steve, I wanted to agree with you on that. You know, when you talked about your 3-day drive and how you go deeper, forget it. You know, you've done all the psychological stuff. It only takes you so far. I find it only takes you so far. But when you start doing the dries and your body's all cleaned out, the GI tract's cleaned out, and you start doing the dries, it takes you into these levels where you actually will meet Jesus, like eye to eye, ball to ball. It's just the most incredible. Nobody can take you there. The dries will take you there for sure. Once you get, you already know that because you already had a taste of it.
Yeah.
It's the only place. It's the limitless place that takes you there. There's nothing. It doesn't matter what anyone says or, you know, whatever you go read or whatever counselor you go to or all this stuff. It's always like what Gino and everyone says here. It's always within.
Yeah. Nothing
you know,
else.
and it's
Nothing else has brought me to where I am, and I'm just a baby here, and I know that. So I know it's limitless.
Yeah. It is, and I'm sort of like we are, like what Gina said, we're all babies and we're all doing it together. So this is a whole new journey for all of us. You know, in the fact that you shared that's just tremendous. You already know the path anyway. You already know it. You know it's all going to be. You know, you can have a wonderful human experience. Your story is just very inspiring, and I really appreciate you sharing the truth and honesty. It's lovely. Thank you. Thank you, brother, so much.
I think of everybody here all day. All day. This is in my DNA now. MFS absolutely in my DNA now. It's like I say, I can never go back. I can never ever go back. It's the same thing with the drinking, you know. What I lacked, and what alcoholics or anybody, drug addicts, whatever you want to, whatever, is the ability to choose. once you cross that line, and I don't know where that line was. That line for me was somewhere around 14 years old, 14 to 16 years old. Once you cross that line, there's no going back. I can never, ever drink safely again, period, no matter what. I pick a drink up, I'm gone. I've seen it. I don't know how many people I've buried.
Wow.
They chose to pick a drink up. And they're gone. They're gone, and they're gone in no time. I have always had trouble. They always refer to it, the medical industry 40 years ago or 50 years ago calls it a disease. I don't believe that. I don't buy the disease BS. But they call it a progressive disease. And you know, that part of it's correct, because you stop drinking at age 20, you have 20 years of sobriety. You pick a drink up again. It's not like you're picking up at age 20. It's like you've never stopped. That's why people that do pick up again, I mean, they're gone. They either end up in jail or they end up in the morgue, one or the other. And I know everybody that's gone out, same thing. They're either dead or they're in jail. That's where it brings them. That's where it brings us. So.
It's the same thing with food. You know, when people start eating, can't control themselves, right? And
Yes.
you know, we've seen people come here do, you know, some master fasting, some of them long ones, and then, you know, go back to food, and they don't know what hit them because they're not understanding this is a lifestyle. And then you see them going from one diet to another diet to another diet to another, looking for that magic thing that's supposed to fix them, because they're not coming to the understanding. They got to deal with it. They got to deal with the emotions.
Oh yeah, and food is
And
very
it's
addictive.
continuously for the rest of your life.
Well,
You know, like just,
that's why I said this is so much more powerful. This addiction is so much more powerful because of the programming.
Yeah.
This has nothing. You know, when that day came that I didn't drink, I never looked back. I knew I would never drink again. That's dangerous to say, but I haven't. And I don't believe I will. But this, I'll never eat that again. And here I am. I pick up that stupid noodle.
yeah.
We're so programmed with it. And they make that junk. It's criminal. The food they produce.
Right.
So addictive.
Yep.
Sugar, salt, and fat.
Yep.
And it's in everything. That's why I grow my own food, so I don't have to buy any of that shit.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Big difference when you grow your own food. Big difference.
So what do you do in winter? I'm curious.
Suffer. That's a challenge. That's a good question. That's been a challenge. This year was not so bad because it was not so bad of a winter. What I did the prior winter, it was horrible. It was dark. I don't think the sun shone at all. I went to Florida.
Mhm.
And I was not eating meat at that time. And then I ate meat down there. It was the last time I had meat. It was, I don't know, 17 months ago, something like that. February, year ago, February.
Why did you eat?
I don't know.
Okay. Maybe because you were
My wife wanted to go out. I want to take my wife out, so I went out.
Oh yeah, yeah. When you go out, it's always
Went out to a restaurant, stupidly.
yeah. Do you live there in the winter usually?
No.
Florida, no.
I was just getting out of the dark. That's all.
Yeah,
It was really dark here. It was
yeah.
super depressing.
So you don't know what you're going to do in winters with food. Master fast.
That's exactly what I have planned for this year.
Yeah.
After the
you
harvest.
mentioned.
That's why my plan is around November 1st. I'll be out. All the harvest will be done.
Okay.
Is make that 108 attempt again.
That's a great idea. I think Ranjit is fasting now in her winter, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, I chose winter because it's less pressure for social.
Yeah.
Yeah, and just a lot easier.
Well, for me, I won't have the, all the harvest will be over. So I don't want to buy the crap in the store. That's selfish.
This is why when you're living this kind of lifestyle, you're only eating a few days a week. Even if the food's not the best, you're not putting that food through you that much, right? It's still here, and you fast and you clean it out. This is the way it's got to be these days. It's just
what you can do is grow your own sprouts.
Yeah, you can do sprouts.
Yeah, I have that. I bought a kit. I just got that stuff. I'm gonna give that a shot.
Yeah.
But I'll tell you what, for me, what I'm finding in the fasting time is I can see that permanently. I can see liquidarian.
Yeah.
I can see that.
Yeah, I'm very.
When I first started, it's like, no way. I love my vegetables. There's no way I'll never not eat them. And here I am 6 months later saying, well, wait a minute. I can see that. I can see just going liquid.
Yeah.
Yeah, because of the addiction to the food. It's slavery. And there's
It's exactly what it is.
Yeah. Yeah, there's freedom with fasting.
Exactly.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean if you love food, which everybody does, there's pleasure to food once in a while. Maybe one day a week on the.
That's where my problem is, because I cannot pick a drink up. It's total abstinence.
I know.
It's so hard for me to go into a fast and come out of it because again, here's the programming. I'm so programmed to either total abstinence. That's what I'm programmed for. In attending AA for 23 years.
Yeah.
It's so hard to go back and forth.
You know what?
Actually, I can't do it with the booze. There's no way. I'll end up in the morgue. I know that. But it's so hard for me to go back and forth with the food.
But that's where you will learn the most. You will learn the most when you go between fasting and eating. Although it's not fun.
Over and over.
Okay. I did 1 day a week of eating for 90 days and 60 days and 45 days. I don't remember how many times, but I've gone for long periods, and I was thinking, okay, this is my lifestyle, After maybe 2 months eating 1 day a week, you will already see, you will know that you're torturing your body.
It's too much.
Every time, even 1 day a week, you're tired, you wasted your day. I can't say it's different. It's not the same. Oh, your cravings.
I agree with
not really cravings will come back so much because it's only 1 day a week, and then the next day you wash your colon and you start the master fast again. But still, it was more tempting to eat than when you just fast. Yeah.
What's the saying in the one drink is too many and 10's not enough, or something like that?
1,000's not enough.
Yeah. Same with the food, right?
Yeah, it's the truth. You trigger that addiction, because we'll use the disease analogy. It's in remission.
But I'm thinking, you know what?
You pick the drink up or you pick the food up. It's a trigger. It just triggers it right off. The whole chemistry of the brain again changes.
But you know what, Steve? I'm optimistic now. We're growing some vegetables and, fruit vegetables.
Good.
And the apple tree, I think, will be like next year fruiting. I'm thinking when I eat my own food from the garden, it's going to be different, maybe.
It is different. It's way different.
So maybe the addiction will be less. I'm hoping.
Yeah.
The energy is different.
Yeah. Good luck with that.
Well, better than.
It's better. It's better food.
Yeah, better food.
Better food.
Yeah.
And mine's 100% organic. You know what's missing this year? There's not many bugs out there.
Okay.
Not many insects.
Yeah, you see.
I've taken my beds. I have very poor soil, so I actually elevated the beds right off the ground, and then I covered them. I made some hoops, and I cover them with what they call row covers. If you see the farms, you see them out in the fields.
Yeah.
So I had, because the moths, especially the moths, they would lay eggs and the worms would just devastate the crop unless you spray. And I didn't want to spray. So I started to cover everything. We're in June now. I've only seen 3 moths in my backyard. So the damage to the environment is crazy. So anybody, if you have the ability to grow your own food, you best get with it. Because you're not going to get any food out of the stores with that big ag. Is just garbage. Besides, there's nothing better than going picking a tomato.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I know.
Oh my God. I have one right now in my greenhouse. One little tomato.
Wait till you grow with
On
ocean
June
water.
8th, June 8th, I have a tomato. That's the earliest.
Wait till you taste one grown with ocean water.
Oh,
You're gonna just go, wow.
But diluted ocean water, right? Like,
Yeah, diluted, of
yeah,
course.
it has to be done.
It's the flavors of the food it's in a whole different realm. I had some basil grown with ocean water, and I pulled it out and I brought it to my friend. This is years ago. She's into the essential oils, and I said, "Smell this," and she looks at me. She goes, "This is complete," and it rang a bell when she says that. When she said that, she goes, "I've never smelled anything like that, but it's complete." And that word is perfect for what she said. The plant had everything it needed to correct everything and make that odor complete. And this is when you taste food grown with ocean water and smell it, you're gonna know, whoa, man, there's nothing like it. There's absolutely nothing like it. It's just amazing.
Plants are amazing.
Yeah.
Amazing.
Plants are absolutely amazing. They do everything they're supposed to do.
Exactly. And they communicate.
All I do is I aid that. I as long as I do it. And one year I didn't, and I felt like it was depressing because I didn't do what I was supposed to do at the end of the year, and I felt so bad about that. Because I failed the plant. The plant did exactly what it was supposed to do. I did not, and the plants died. Big lesson there. Big lesson.
You notice how great you feel when you're with the plants because the spirits are communicating with your spirit, and that's why we love being in nature, right? And touching the dirt and so on and so forth. But like, there's been a lot of posts of science now sees that plants communicate each other through the fungus and everything. And it's all fields. It's all fields being interacted with each other. They don't need matter. We're thinking always in matter.
Well, I'm beginning to understand.
Yeah.
Definitely beginning to understand that.
It's all energetically.
All energy.
Whatever we want to call it, plasma field, whatever, it's all energy. And that's the way we are connecting with each other and this, MFS and so on and so forth. And this is where the power comes. The physical, the material things, they're nice. We can enjoy them, but you're only going to get so far when you're focusing on that, right? Yeah, diets. Okay, what diet you want to pick?
No, like I say, I can see total liquid. I can see that happening.
Even at least part-time, right? That's the key. That's what we're saying. Be on liquids part-time, which is the MFS.
I was trying at 3 and 4, but like I say, I get beyond 2 and I'm in trouble. So I can see moving right to, once I come off this next fast, just going to 5.
Yeah.
At least I can handle them 2 days.
Yeah, exactly. See how
Stop.
that.
Yeah, and then just stop. And if that don't work, then I can go to 6, or I can go to go back.
How many hours a day do you eat when you eat? Because that makes a difference, I believe.
Yes. So I usually don't have anything past. I try not to have anything past 6, and 11. So what's that, 7 hours?
Yeah, maybe you can shorten it. You can have 2 meals, 1 meal of fruit, 1 meal of vegetables within 3 hours.
Yeah, I haven't tried
And
short.
before that, you can do the hybrid, like you can do the juice,
Yeah.
the hybrid.
Yeah. You can do the hybrid. You can stay on the hybrid on the eating days, right? Where you're drinking the juice, doing the stuff, you're just
Still young,
having your 1 or 2
chocolate.
meals, and then the other days are your liquid days, right? There's many, many ways. Everybody's going to find their own way and feel
Yeah, and
how to connect.
always keep at least 12 hours dry.
But yeah, it's good what you're doing. You're experimenting, doing a few days here, going there and there, and you're getting a feel for what you can make work for you, and that's the key. It's not going to happen overnight. You just continue working there.
Yeah, the less hours you eat, the less hungry you will be.
Oh yeah, I found that.
Yeah.
Like I say, I'm never hungry. I'm not, and I know that I'm not hungry. It's just I eat like everybody else. It's probably all emotional eating.
Any other physical things that you've noticed changed?
No, not really. I mean, I feel freaking amazing, like you say. I feel great. The strength is coming back. I don't need much sleep anymore. Not when I'm fasting. I need more sleep when I'm eating.
How many hours?
When I'm eating, I don't wake up the same as when I'm fasting.
Right.
I'm still kind of lethargic for a while.
Yeah.
When I wake up fasting, there's such a clarity. That's what I found coming into here. And quickly, it was pretty quick too. It was within a few days of that first fast that there was such a clarity of mind coming.
No drug will give you that.
Fog was lifting, you know.
No drug will give you that.
No. Absolutely not. I never wanted to feel the way I felt, no matter what. That's hence the addictions. Today I want to embrace it all. It's just that's so alien. It's just such an alien thing for me to do. Is to feel all that stuff. But again, I can see it. I can finally, for the first time in my life, I can see it. I can see a path to that, and it's in the fast. It's like my brain. I don't even know if that's the correct. Everything's compartmentalized. There's a part of me that can do this. There's a part, and there's no connection. That connection is I can start seeing a path to the connection.
Yeah. Amazing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Mm.
And again, it's only been 6 short months. Imagine what the next year will bring.
Embrace it all.
Love it all. All good.
You've overcome all kinds of hurdles.
Not me. Not without help. I can't do any of that. I didn't do any of that on my own. All that goes to God and AA.
Bravo. Yeah.
Not me. I could not do that before. So there's no question in my mind that I can do it on my own. No way. God, number one. And even the way AA came to be, there's no question that was divine, from the divine too. Absolutely no question. These guys were hopeless alcoholics. These two gentlemen that started this thing. Started in 1935. And they were hopeless alcoholics. And there was one guy helping another guy. And they got sober.
Wow.
And out of that grew this fellowship of, and that's what this is. This is a fellowship here. It's the same thing. This is more powerful, I think. There was a power here. I felt the power here when I first came here that I hadn't felt for a long time in AA. Like I say, I plateaued about 7 years ago, and I couldn't get the block, whatever the block was. And it was probably all the obstructions. So this just opened up. MFS has opened that realm up again. That possibility of growth. And all the physical, that's just the benefit. That's a benefit.
Did you ask God for help when you were feeling down throughout your journey in the past, you know?
No.
You never asked God for help?
Never. I chose to turn my back on him. I never asked.
There was something, yeah.
Not till the day. There was a day. Was it the last day? No, it was not the last day. Yes, it was. It was the last day I drank. The last 2 weeks, I was a mess. I was having a breakdown. Lack of better. No, that was exactly what was happening. I was having a psychological break. And I got to go see a counselor through the insurance through work. And I remember driving down. It was the next town down. And I was driving to the appointment. And I said, now this is where this is. And all I said is, whatever I need to do, I'll do. And that was it. That was it. That opened the door for God.
Well, yeah, for sure, because you're talking to God.
And I felt the presence. And during the counseling session, I was aware of AA before because I went to a rehab 11 years before I started drinking. I was in trouble with the law. Nothing serious. It's all misdemeanor crap. There's never been any felonies in my past. Just all dumb stuff. Breach of peace and that kind of crap. But halfway through the session, the counselor says, if you want to continue seeing me, I require that you attend AA. And there was no argument. I said, okay. That was a miracle. That was a miracle that I was open to it. So there's a series of steps that the way AA is laid out. It's a 12-step program. You know, the first one's surrendering to God. The first 3 are surrender. They're all about surrender.
There's discussions.
It's surrender. It's not fight. And that's what you have to do here. You can't fight it. You have to surrender to it.
Yeah.
It's all about surrender. And especially for a man to say that you're stronger than me, that's hard to swallow. That is really hard to swallow. This is easy because I've been programmed. I've been trained. I have the training. So I get this. It still doesn't make it easy. I shouldn't say that.
Do they discuss?
We can be, especially in AA, and it's parallels here. We can be too smart for our own good.
Do they discuss spiritual in AA?
Absolutely.
Okay.
It's a spiritual program. Absolutely. First and foremost, it's a pathway to God.
Amazing.
Awesome.
First and foremost. And most people can't embrace that. They don't get it. They don't get it.
I feel that's the way, and that's the only way for us, for humans.
We ain't gonna find any balance.
I admire your devotion. I admire your devotion. Absolutely admire that. I wish I was at that level. I'm getting there. We can all get there, but Ronnie, you're an inspiration.
I'm still working at it. You know, this is a stubborn.
It is. It's hard. I don't know if it's the male psyche or what. I don't know. Especially that surrender part to everything. It's like
Difficult.
Step one, we admitted we were powerless over alcohol, that our lives would become unmanageable. Okay, I get that. I look back at my life and I can see totally how, not in the beginning. Admitting I'm powerless over something, no, that was hard. And life was unmanageable. 3 marriages and 4 drunk driving arrests. I thought that was just the price to pay. That's all it was at the time. It took a period of living sober to really gauge how crazy it was. Step 2, came to believe that a power greater than ourselves could restore us to sanity. Step 2 is where God comes in right away. Again, you can look at the food, it's the same thing. I mean, anybody that eats to obesity is insane. It's an insane action.
Yeah.
Accepting that you're insane, that's a whole nother deal. That takes a long time. And step 3, made a decision to turn our will and our lives over to the care of God as we understood him. So the first 3 steps are all about surrender. And the next 5 are about cleaning up your mess, taking responsibility. Step 4, made a searching and fearless inventory of ourselves. Searching. Fearless. Who wants to look at their past? That's a tall order. You're doing the same thing here. It's the same. You could put the steps right inside MFS and they fit. For me, that's the divine. Absolutely the divine.
Write them out in a post when you get a chance.
I will do so. I find posting has been a little difficult. I read a lot and I'll make a comment, but sharing has been that's not been easy. It's to open up has never been easy.
Yeah, was it two people today? I think came forth. They were sitting around for 2 years where he made their first post. So take it, whatever.
Yeah.
Time's an illusion anyway.
And those 2 little children are now 26 and 28 years old, and they're thriving.
Awesome.
Because their father got sober. Their mother today is in jail.
Wow.
She chose to stay in the path and not to come out.
Alcoholic as well?
Yes.
Oh.
So.
She's not your current wife, right?
No.
Okay.
No. I tried to make that marriage work for the sake of the children. Once I got sober, 5 years. And at 5 years sober, I couldn't do it anymore. Because everything I was learning, I could not take into the house. I couldn't take it into that life because it was wrong. It was absolutely wrong. And it came a point, because I was still crazy. It takes a long time to get sober. It's easy to stop drinking. To get sober, it takes a long time. I'm still working on it. But I was still batshit crazy then. And the options at that point at 5 years were to divorce her, kill her, or join her. And each one was very viable because I still had that insanity going on. Thank God I chose to leave.
Yeah, like
kept the focus on the kids.
Everything you're talking about, it fits in directly with what we're doing, right?
Absolutely fits right in. That's why it was so natural to once again. It was like coming home.
We got to face our demons.
There's a lot of them. Everybody carries demons. Some more than others. So different levels.
Was it tough for your kids?
No.
I'm glad.
No. I was able to raise them. I was always able to talk to them at the age they were. I broke the cycle of my father only because I got sober. My father, and that's probably, you know, if I really look at it, that's where it all stems from. Not my mother, my father. My father was a good man, did the best he could, closed off emotionally, 100% closed off emotionally. So,
Did he drink?
no. Yeah, I mean, a little bit, but a problem, no. Neither of them had a problem. No. He did better. He did better. They divorced when I was 18. He did better, and he remarried not long after that, 1980, I think it was. And his second marriage, he was able to start opening up. So, but he did, you know. That's probably, and that's, I'm sure that's where the genesis of most of it is right there. We'll get there.
Yeah, yeah. This whole thing of the emotions is a real challenge because we have not been brought up to deal with them, right?
No. Well, if you think about it, most families, you know, what happens behind the closed doors stays there.
Right.
I don't know anybody, you know, who talks to their parents on the level that you need to be. You really should be. So I don't know if there was I don't think, you know, it was ironic too. And I didn't know this till years later that I was his favorite child out of the five. You know that. You wouldn't know that, you know, because he couldn't show it. So I was able to like, I will not be my father with my children. And I was able to break that. And I told them, you know, especially as they were coming into age where I was, you know, I remember I was washing dishes one day. My son was 9 years old, ironically. And he's on a bicycle and I see him go flying by the window. And I'm like, that's when I started drinking. That
Wow.
exact age. I'm like, oh, holy crap, you know. So I've always been very open with them. Very open.
Did the moving into the rural areas have anything to do with that?
I don't think so. Could have. Who knows? I don't know. I don't know. You know, the fear. Right out of high school, 18 years old. Might have been the next year. Might have been 19. The crew, the guys I grew up with, and we're still friends today. These are lifelong friends. That's I could pick the phone up and it's like yesterday. And it's the same with them. But they wanted to leave. They wanted to go to Colorado. And I wanted to go. But it was that 7-year-old kid that was so afraid to move. I never went. I got married and ensured the fact that I could not leave. But I was seeing a girl and we married. I was 19. Nobody should get married at 19 years old. But that was all to deal with that fear.
Right.
And it's all an illusion.
Yep. Your wish is your command.
Yep. I love that. I love that. I love that. See, again, we got. Once I was able to put the drink down, and it probably took the first year. Once I got the choice, you know, all on me, brother. After that, I did. When you're in an active addiction, whatever it is, the booze, drugs, sex, I don't care what it is, food, they make all your choices for you. Once you can stop that and regain the power to choose, guess what? It's all on me now. All on me. A lot of people can't handle that. That's why they go back. They can't handle it. No more. And I was never one to blame anyway. I never blamed. I go back to that 13-year-old. My mother was leaving the church. She became disillusioned with her church. I was 13, and she gave the remaining kids in the house the choice to either join her in the new church or basically do whatever you wanted to do. And it's like, good, I don't want any more to do with God. That was done. It didn't fit with what I wanted to do, which was to get high and drink. So I'd known, that's why I say when you asked if I called on God in those periods, I never did, because I'm the one that chose the path. Yeah. So I have never been one to blame. It's always right here. Right here.
Yeah,
That's how we are here. I mean, it's my choice to eat that stupid piece of wheat.
Yeah. I know.
I get that. I get it.
Yeah.
Don't make it easy.
We say whatever good happens to us is from God. Whatever bad happens to us is from us.
Maybe. If something bad is going on and I want to change it, God's going to send me the test.
It's a test for sure.
I learned that with my son. My son was a challenge. We'll put it that way. When he became 16 years old, he became a challenge, big time. And it was all about school. And now I'm living in the next town. As we already divorced, and I stayed. Actually, when I left, I moved 2 houses down. I wanted to make sure the kids were fine. I stayed there for almost 2 years, and it was time to leave. So I left, and I moved to where I'm living today. So I'm trying to parent on the phone, and he did something, and he was just being a smartass, and I blew up at him. I mean, I really just exploded at him. That explosive anger came up. Probably 2 or 3 months later, pretty much the identical situation took place, and I was as calm as could be. What changed? That was eye-opening. What changed? It's all me, my choice on how to deal with anything. But yeah, he was a challenge. He's a good kid. He's a good young man, though.
Yeah, life is all about lessons,
Yes.
I mean, it's either that you learn, because everything that happens, even if it's like it appears bad, it's really a test at the end of the day for our good. It's an opportunity to grow or to feel bad if you want, and not help yourself and play the poor me syndrome.
Yeah. But I don't think anything is bad anymore. Things are just what they are. I don't think there's a good or a bad.
Yeah. Thank God for everything, no?
They are.
Yeah.
The thing is, I've I've learned a lot on how to look at things. And guess what? That anger has been, it's not gone, but it's down. A lot of that had to do with the hepatitis. When I went to Florida in the middle of that treatment, and my father took me to a acupuncturist, and he picks up a Chinese medical book that's probably 2,000 years old, and he starts reading, because I thought I was going crazy, because I could not cope anymore. Liver, part of the brain, coping, definitely connected. I couldn't cope with anything. And he's reading out of this book, and he's reading off everything I'm feeling and going through. And it's like, holy shit, I'm not crazy. There's something, there's a reason here. So once I knew that, made it easier to deal with.
Yeah.
Just like here. Once I know, again, what I know now, here,
Change the
makes
environment.
the rest of it. Huh?
Change the environments, change the outcome.
Yes.
Internal, external.
My choice.
Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. What's so beautiful is that we are much more powerful than we thought. You know, we have a lot of power. We're empowered. We're responsible, you know, for ourselves.
Yeah.
And that's the best we can share with humanity, is that they are empowered too. You know, everybody's empowered to achieve whatever they want.
Yeah.
And we can be the change that we want to see. Once we change ourselves, things start changing. We change the environment.
Yeah, everybody around us gets better, don't they?
Yeah. I wonder what happens.
That was the same thing with getting sober. Everybody, you know, when everybody starts becoming an a-hole, I better look in the mirror.
Exactly. The mirror of truth.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
There was an old Southern gentleman. I always used to say in that South Carolina drawl, I'm not even going to try to imitate it, but he'd always say, if there's a problem here, I caused it. And if you look at it, boy, there's so much truth in that.
Yeah.
Bad things happen. I mean, you know, bad things happen. It's how we, and that's been a challenge for me, how to process that. I should not say the word, but to react, because that's where we get in trouble. We react.
Yeah.
I react. I don't deal. I react.
Yeah, that too can change.
That changes.
I love it when
Change in practice. Don't change easy. That
yeah,
doesn't
for
go.
sure.
Practice.
Many of us say on the Master Fast, especially when we do a long one, we say that we become more like the observers, even though like we are maybe emotionally involved still, but at the same time we are observing from.
Yeah, you know, I think in when I did the 62. Yeah, in the end, I was.
Yeah.
Yeah. I wasn't looking from the outside in or the inside out. I started looking from the outside in.
Right.
And so yeah, see, I know I can get there.
Yeah, you're already there. You're just slow motion, right? It'll happen.
Yeah.
It's happening already. It's just.
Oh, I know it is.
Yeah.
It's just in the scattered brain. It's.
Yeah, you know, we'll fall off here and there. No big deal. No big deal. We become wiser with each fall.
Yeah.
That's true. In anything. So yeah, I'm blessed. I'm blessed to be here.
Thank you.
And I'm so grateful to have found this, to have found Master Fests. The gratitude I have is through the roof.
Likewise.
Like truth, because it's truth. I always felt, for me, just give me the truth, and I can make my decisions from there. As long as I know the truth. And that's what I find here, is just truth.
Yeah, everybody will find their answers because they are in plain sight. And once you start looking in the mirror of truth, and the way we get there is clean up, and you start seeing it. It's no rocket science. It's just the simplicity. It just goes over everybody's head mostly, and this is why, you know, one of the other reasons that this is not for public, because they just don't have this understanding, and you need to keep it the way it is. You know, we keep it in a group, and for people that, you know, start seeing and understanding what this is. It is a lifestyle, and it's a support system, and everything else that we do. You know what I mean? Because it's too challenging out there, man. It's just too challenging to mix it all up. You know, once we go out there, yeah, we got to deal with it. But, you know, at least you can come to a place, even though it's virtual, it doesn't matter. This is beauty. We can be anywhere on the planet.
At what other point in time could I be talking to somebody who's living in Australia in real time? That's crazy.
Exactly.
This is beautiful. This internet is can be such a great tool.
It is an amazing tool.
Could be such a damaging tool too, but used the correct way.
Yeah. Again, we're empowered to choose.
Very empowering.
Because honestly, you have information, you and I have information that our parents didn't have, that their parents didn't have, like, I mean, we have access to things that were written more than 100 years ago, like the mucusless diet, for example.
But they had some information, because of
course.
I remember going into my grandmother's house, and there's an enema bag hanging there. So that practice got lost.
Yeah, it's true. It's true.
My parents,
yeah,
when they got sick, their parents gave them enemas.
And
Growing up.
Yeah. He used to get enemas as a kid, right?
Yeah, I got a few from my mother.
Yeah. Right?
Yeah. But still.
I mean, I leave work every Wednesday. I have my colonics scheduled at noontime on Wednesdays. And I went this past Wednesday, and my boss was like, that just can't be good, what you're doing. I said, why do you say that? Because he knows what I'm doing. I didn't, I didn't hide it from him. And I said, this is just a lost practice, a lost hygiene practice. I said, your mother and her mother did this. I said, how do you think this could be bad?
Enemas has been done since the Egyptians.
Yes, this goes back, to the Egyptians. Yeah. Thousands of years.
We wash from the outside, but everything's been washed in, so there's something wrong. Okay, whatever.
Yeah, that's what I said. Oh, no, what? Okay. I don't know. I can close my hands. That's all I can tell you. That's how I answer them all the time.
It's amazing, eh?
I'm off all drugs, and I can close my hands, and I can pee. So I don't know who's going wrong.
And you can sleep.
and you can sleep.
Yeah.
With no drugs. After all those years. So, all this stuff is still going to be purging out of you for a while. And you're going to go cycles.
Those chemo drugs are going to be purging. That's what the kidneys are fighting. I know it. I know exactly what's going on with the kidneys. Yeah. That's all that. That's 15 months. I started that treatment. It was an injection of, it was funny too. It was an injection a week and a pill in the morning and every 12 hours. And I failed to meet what I was supposed to meet. You have to meet a certain level of copies of the virus that they can detect after 12 weeks, or they consider it a failure. And I failed. And then 1 month in, the red cells started dying off because of the antivirals. That was a whole nother anemia injection once a week, which was brutal injection. And I'm doing it all myself, which is even funnier, because when I met the doctor the first time, and I only met the doctor once, he said, do you have any problem with needles? And I'm like, kind of how I got here. But that injection and then I had to go another 3 weeks. So after 15 weeks, something like that, that weekly injection went to a daily injection. So for the next 11 months, I was sticking a needle in my legs.
Oh.
That tissue, there's still no hair that grows there. I could do 3 weeks right down the line. I could do 7 days, 7 days, 7 days, and the tissue was dead. I'd have to go to the end of the leg and do another 3 weeks. And by the time I was done there, this was healed up enough.
Oh boy.
And then I knew every time, it's like, poison. Had I known about Master Fast, I never would have done that. I would have fasted. I would have fasted it out.
Do you believe
it ended up happening anyway because I couldn't eat.
Do you believe it would happen?
The only thing I was able to eat during those 15 months, believe it or not, was a McDonald's cheeseburger. It's the only thing I could. That was it. It's the only thing I could eat and hold down. I mean, I couldn't even look at food. My body wanted nothing to do with food on its own. See, I couldn't make the connection then. And that's why I lost, because other people that don't have the severe reactions as I had, they could eat and do, they could function, and I could barely function. That was just my path. But my body knew what to do. I just didn't have the knowledge then. My body did not want food.
Mhm.
Wow.
And for all that BS, it worked, because at the end of the 15 months, they could not detect the virus anymore. So at least it worked. I would hate to go through that and fail. At least by their standards, it worked.
Don't be alarmed or surprised if you get some of the symptoms coming through.
Oh, they did. The fatigue, the fatigue, because of the red cell count, I couldn't climb a set of stairs. I could go, and I live in a 2-story house. I could climb 3 or 4 stairs. I would have to sit down. That's how severe it was. And in the 62 days near the end, the fatigue was coming back. I knew what it was. I knew exactly what it was. The fatigue, everything was coming up.
Good. So you knew.
I said to my wife, I said, this is no different than the Hep C treatment right now. Absolutely mirrors the Hep C treatment.
Yep.
Except I didn't have the drugs, the brain, the foggy brain from the drugs. I had the clarity of thought.
Right.
And your detox.
That was the difference. The physical is nothing. I can handle it. Except for the kidneys, I was able to handle the physical. So yeah, and it's not done. I know that. It's coming back. You don't purge something like that in 60 days. That's for sure.
Yeah, it takes time. A lot of time.
It's good that you have faith. It's important to have faith. You know, there are people like HIV, for example. They are living on heavy medications, very heavy medications. Yeah. And they are too scared to do, to get rid of them, because they're told that your viral level will go up, and so the symptoms will come. And yeah, it's pretty sad. It's pretty sad to see.
It is.
It's
like I say, my body knew what to do. It didn't want food.
Yeah. It's about having faith, really. At the end of the day, your faith has to be strong enough to do things, because nobody can tell you what to do. You have to have the faith. Like, let's say I have HIV today. I know what I would do. I know what you would do from, so far.
I don't think I'll ever see a doctor again. Unless if I got to go to the emergency room or something.
Yeah, I'm not saying for people not to do their thing, but I know what I would do. I would definitely would not go.
Even the last doctor's appointment I had, which was, I think, February of last year, I said, it might have been a little earlier. I said, I don't think I'm coming back for a while. He said, why? I said, because I feel too good. I said, there's nothing wrong here. For years I've been coming here every year, and you're not finding anything wrong. Now I'm really cleaning up my act, and you can't find any, even worse. I said, I don't think I'm coming back. He said, you should come back every 2 years at least, because of the cold, our susceptibility to the cancers. But if you're not eating crap, you're not getting cancer.
Yeah. I haven't been to mine for 4 years.
Good.
Since I met him.
Oh, yeah.
Actually, since
my eyes, I've got, and it's in the family. Glaucoma, the early stage of glaucoma.
Uh-huh.
Well, one of the things, anybody's dealing with any of that, one of the things the physical therapy, my massage guy told me, he says, in the shower, hot water, he said, just stand, put your chin on your chest. He said, the muscles in the back of the neck, he says, are connected there to the eyes. He said, just relax that. He said, that'll relieve the pressure. No, it is built up pressure as well. If it's just built up pressure, guess what? Master Fast will take care of that. So the eye. I had the eye exam. Yeah, because the pressures now, my pressures were always reading high. This last one, they're like, they're up. They were up for some reason. So I have to go back in August. So I said, I'll come back.
No alarms. You can also do some, sorry?
Huh?
You can also do some castor oil packs or do hot and cold.
Yep.
Alternate and end with cold. Get energy moving. You can also work with the eye washes, herbal eye washes. Everything will help, but yeah, there's many things you can do.
Yeah, I don't know if that, especially with the prostate, obviously the anti-inflammatory, lack of eating and then trying to stay anti-inflammatory. But I believe in the herb.
Mm-hmm.
Those tinctures are powerful. Absolutely, there's a lot of power in those things.
The body works very intelligently. Worked on your prostate first, because if you can't pee, you can't live. You don't have to see to live, right?
Right.
So just continue, and you'll see how things improve over time.
That's what I say. It's only 6 months. Imagine what a year will bring.
Yeah. You're doing awesome, Steve.
I feel great. You guys have.
We love when people share, because unless people start sharing and stuff, nothing's going to really happen, right? It's just
you're helping so many people.
It works all ways, as we're just moving energy between each other. If we stagnate ourselves, that's all we're going to get.
They want you isolated.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. The addiction wants you isolated. That's where its power is.
Few people ripping off our protocol and making it as their own. What's that going to do for their soul? It's all open for everybody here. We're sharing freely, and it's just wow, man. Because anyway.
Yeah, no, I get it. Because I've seen it out there. I've seen it. It's like, that really doesn't belong here, but whatever. There's a place where that belongs, where it was created. To each their own.
We send them all love, man. That's all we can do.
Yep.
It's just, I wish, people can start coming to this understanding that we need to be in gratitude, servitude, and to each other and to God, and just let it all go, and everything will be all right. You won't need any resistance when you live like this way. Anything outside of that, there's a lot of energies used to create fear. You need so much energy. Love, no energy is used. You actually get boosted.
No fear. Love and fear cannot exist in the same house.
Yeah. That's why we like that term plasma love always flowing. Just tap into that, because it's always flowing. It's always around.
I'm beginning to be able to do that. It's starting. It's opening. It's opening. The blocks are, the walls are starting. You're
doing it, man. What do you mean? You're doing it. It's just
little rays of sunshine poking through.
Yeah, you're doing it. We all have challenges. Nobody's perfect.
I know.
I'm at the bottom of the list. I'm at the bottom of the list.
My path. That's all it is my path.
Yeah.
Just as it was getting sober, it's my path. No two alcoholics are alike. No two people are alike.
Yeah. People want to mock each other and stuff. Look at yourself, man. Don't worry about me.
I learned, this goes back to when I was 18 years old, 19 years old, going into the machinist trade. You left that machine for the guy that's coming behind you. If you did not leave that machine prepared for the man behind you, you did not last long. You were fired. You were out the door. So it's never about you. It was about the one behind you. And it's the same thing in AA. It's It's not about you. It's about the still suffering alcoholic. Put your damn hand out and welcome him in.
What type of machine you operate?
CNCs,
Oh,
lathes mills.
awesome. I grew up with.
You know what? At one point, I was doing 90% aluminum, so who knows? Aluminum and Alzheimer's kind of go together.
Don't worry about it.
No, I know.
It's all gonna come up.
I remember hearing that. It's like, oh shit.
When growing up in our house, in our garage, my dad had a little machine shop. He had a lathe, he had a welder, he had a machine, he had a surface grinder. What else do we have in there?
Nice.
It was.
I love it. So I'm creating. Somebody give me a print, give them back a part. It's fantastic.
Yeah, so I was always working with my hands, making things and stuff. You know, that's what I grew up with. And,
well, I'm old school too because I'm old now. So I came in with on all the manual stuff, so I can do it all, you know, just like your dad, all manual, and then moved into the computer.
Yeah, I never got into the computer side of things. I left.
It's different. It's language. You just learn it to talk to the machine. Exactly. Machine will do whatever you tell it to do. You just got to learn its language.
Yeah.
Just like here, you just got to learn the language here.
Simple.
Yes.
It's a comment.
Susan, I really appreciate you sharing your experience. Steve, thank you. Thank you. I've been sober 14 years myself. Awesome.
Great.
Awesome.
Excellent. Yeah, unfortunately, there's many of us out here. I mean, fortunately that we're sober, but when I came in, the odds were 1 in 3. I think they've dropped since that make it.
I even went through a drinking.
Poor odds. Pretty poor odds. I think it's down to about 20% now.
Yeah, I went through a drinking phase for a couple of years. Like many more, but I mean really heavy drinking, like waking up drinking and stuff. And then I started throwing up blood one time, and I go, "This ain't for me, man." And I kind of moved away. I just did it socially here and there. But
yeah,
that's good.
Yeah, I was never blessed with throwing up.
Wow.
A blessing or a curse, who knows? It depends which way you want to look at it. Handful of times, that's it. God, I look back and don't even have a slightest clue how I survived that. None of us do. None of us know how we got through it. You know, I never thought I would see the age of 40. So anything beyond 40 is just a bonus.
Wow.
And had I kept going, I was 37. I probably wouldn't have seen 38. No way. I was that close. I was at that point.
What's usually the cause of death besides killing yourself with suicide or something in alcoholism?
Physically, cirrhosis.
The liver?
Yep. You get to the point where your whole organs shut down. You bleed out. Yeah, you physically bleed out. Everything shuts down.
Out of all the alcoholism, from what I've seen, the ones that stick to wine, like winos, they live the longest. And I wonder why. Grapes, right?
Yeah. Probably.
Yeah, my dad, he drank from 10 years old and he's still alive. So he's 75. And so he went from hardcore spirits and now he's on wine.
Yeah.
He binges every now and then, but
we call that change. We call that changing seats on the Titanic.
Yeah. But he's still always in denial. Like he always says, "I'm not doing it." And the other time he fell over. I was at my parents' place. Because I was taking care of both my mum and dad, and he fell over and he ended up getting double pneumonia. And when the ambulance came and got him, they said, "Oh, if it was another 2 hours, he would have died," because he ended up having double pneumonia. So you just never know when it's going to happen. So it's a little bit of a wake-up call. He stops for a while and then he gets back into it again. And can't take as much. So he can't have used to swig a whole bottle in one go. So he can only only has a few sips and then he gets drunk very quickly. So his body's shutting down. You can see.
Yeah, it's hard to watch.
Yeah, it's very sad. Very, very sad because the brain goes, lose the marbles, in a different reality.
You've never experienced, you have no idea what that denial's like. Absolutely. It's
yeah.
But talking about the winos, the wine, number one, it's a lot less alcohol, right, than the harder stuff. And of course, it's got the grapes. Like I have many old Italian men in the 80s, 90s, 100 years old, drinking wine, and they're drinking wine. They're drinking a lot. So that's why I'm saying the hard liquors, man, they just tear you up. They don't.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
They don't give you any breaks.
I was able to drink an insane amount of liquor.
Wow.
For a couple of years there in the quart a day. Just the liquor, quart a day and a case of beer. So
My goodness.
For about 2 years. It's amazing what our bodies will handle.
Yep. That's what I say. How do we survive through all it? Punishment day after day after day. You do that to any machine, it breaks down very quickly.
Yes.
So it's amazing because there's the spirit driving it, and that's what keeps it going. It's trying to do its best, but we keep bombarding it, keep bombarding it, keep bombarding it. And eventually it says, I'm done. I can't do any more for you.
Yeah. So.
But if anybody's got any questions, we're already at 2 hours. Wow.
Yeah. I don't usually talk this long. I still have trouble being the center of attention.
Yeah, we're all in this together, man. There's no center of attention.
I've learned to overcome that.
Yeah, it's all wonderful.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a big thing sharing those, Steve, like what you'd shared, with your honesty and your truth and everything. That's a huge healing for you. It'd have to be, and to do it in this group, that's just so tremendous. And I was actually thinking when you were speaking, like the prodigal son, the door's always open to come home, whenever you want to fully come home, like that's always there. It doesn't matter where anyone goes through their path or journey of life, the soul's always knocking on the inside.
Mm-hmm.
And it always shows you on the outside, I'm still knocking. It's, everything on the outside shows you to come back in. It's just a matter of just taking that step and going in. And as you said, surrender. I just really loved how you talked about surrender. It's just so resonant with me at the moment. The deeper the surrender, the deeper you go in.
Yes.
The more trust you have and the more love you have. It's it's phenomenal. That is. It's just wonderful. I just see, even in the 6 months, Steve, knowing you, mate, I just seen your journey. You just opened up so much, like, doing 60 days and then you're breaking it and then coming back. And, you just, you remind me a little bit of me in some ways. There's some familiarity, but, in the sense that don't give up. And I'm a bit of a high achiever as well. So I understand that thing about perfection and things, like you just want to drive it and, to see it through. And, it's just it's a good motivate. Like I find some parts of your personality, the good parts, you can really use to, to motivate, to ensure that, that you want to live, and you want to live a good human experience. So I see that resonance in myself and you and probably other people here too, because I think you have to be a certain person to really, you know, like throw yourself in. Like, you know how you said how you, when you saw this page, you already knew. I felt that way too. Like once I came here, I already knew. Hence why I think you dive in. Hey, you just sort of, you already know before you know, and then you just dive in. And there's no complaints. There's none of these questions that we ask because the information's all there. You just go in and you go through the journey, and then you experience for yourself. And that's the only way that you really truly know. But the
right.
God's there, yeah, God's there, hey, all the way, even in your 60 days. Like, you know, Jesus would have been there for you, and that trusting, that surrendering that you know, it's just so good listening to you, you know, because you've had such great life experience, and that helps other people.
For sure.
That's for God, all God.
I only have one question for you. Is it 2 children that you have, or you have more children?
Nope, just the 2.
2.
Hmm.
How beautiful is that?
All I ever wanted. It worked out great.
Mm.
I believe, I truly believe. I was 32 when my daughter was born. I don't believe that she was put here until I needed her. So that's my belief.
Mm. Gina, I think
There's nothing in this life. There was nothing on this earth that was worth not drinking over. And then this child was sent. Now something was here that was worth not drinking over. But by that point, I was way too far gone. So that's why it took 4.5 years. But see, that's where addiction brings you, because you'll give up everything. You'll give up kids, house, job. You'll give up everything. The booze or addiction, whatever it is, booze, drugs, sex, I don't care what it is. That owns you. Absolutely owns every cell in your body.
Just like the diseases, they own you.
Yes. Just like the food.
Yeah.
Difference in the food is the programming. That's why I said from the beginning that it's much more difficult.
What were you saying, Ranjit?
I was just thinking about when Steve was talking about liquidarian. I really understand what he's saying. Like, I'm not a type of person who can go back and forth. It's got to be an absolute.
Yeah.
Because I know within myself, even when I broke for 2 months, that second month was such a struggle, and I actually was, you know, really upset even with myself, and I knew then, you know that I either got to go all the way before I find the real balance. You know what I mean? I've got to go, you know, I've got to go with what the soul tells me to do, because I know me, my personality, what it's like. It's like you can't go half-hearted sort of thing. It's not even about the days, you know, it's not even about that. It's more about, you know, it is the lifestyle that you want, but because food is such a huge addiction, as we know, and has all those emotional attachments to it, I see, and Steve's experiences now, you see what you're like when you're with food, and you see what you're like when you're without food. And I know as soon as you eat one thing, it creates that digestion again. It starts the cycle, unless you're you know, you're a type of personality that can go into balance straight away. That's fine. I think everyone's different and unique in their way, but I know for my identity still stuck in me, it's very much one or the other. It's like, okay, after this, then it's going to go liquid, and then I will play with liquid as long as I possibly can, and then it's about introducing the food in. For me, it's not the other way around. It's about, then, okay, I'll go have a tomato. Then, because then I'm more empowered. So I'm the one, the watcher, the observer that has the control, because food's been such a long addiction for so many years. and the emotional attachments to that. Even though I don't find I'm emotionally screwed up, I'm actually quite emotionally stable. But it's sort of, it's, I see that where Steve talks about that, and I think Maren's probably the same. There's some people where, it has to be one or the other sort of thing. It depends what a person's path is and their personality, and that's how I find it for me. I already know. That's why I did the 180 days. Like, I just all know. I just know that I can't do the balance thing at the moment. I can't do 1 day of eating or 2 days of eating and then go back. I mean, I could maybe, but I know I'll struggle. So for me personally, I think that's when you say your levels, you choose your levels, because people know, you'd know within yourself which level that you'll be able to sustain. And you are right, because it's the emotions. If you aren't, like, you look at Steve, he's had a lifelong experience, and he understands about his emotions, and I understand about my emotions too. I know my trigger points and things like that. I know which way I go, and I just think, I agree with you on I can't go back and forth at the moment. How can you speak to that, Gino, at all? Because you've done so many different people. We probably might be a rarity. I don't know. Steve and I might be. Other people might be
it's a few.
unusual.
And
Yeah.
most people just can't comprehend of, not living without food, right? Number one. But we're not saying that. We're saying to go into the mindset that less is going to be your best friend, and enjoy some food, but make your priority is the actual fasting lifestyle, and start gaining that understanding that is where your energy is coming from, not from food. It's not from food. And it's very, very difficult, very, very challenging for anybody to believe that. Very, very difficult, very, very challenging for anybody to believe the water doesn't hydrate you. Very, very difficult, very, very challenging to believe this is sustainable. So we're against all odds. We can go on and on and on. So that's why most people will just not be able to make this as a lifestyle, because they're not, when they're reading, they're making their own interpretation. They're not listening to what's being said and what's listening to being shared by everybody that's actually living and loving it. They're making up their own thing through their programming. They haven't been able to let the programming go and start listening to soul. Because once that happens, Ranjit, you guys, everything changes, and you start seeing, and the answers are right there. I can't give you the answers. I can't. It's not my job. It's an impossibility. We each and every one of us have to look in that mirror of truth, and that mirror of truth will pop up when you start doing these long fasts, you start living this lifestyle. It's right there. You'll see it all. And they'll come up one after another after another. And these are emotions we're talking about, because that's the seed. The physical stuff, yeah, we can talk about it and all that, healing reactions. I don't even put much attention to it anymore, because it really, the more attention we put to, the more energy we give it. Like disease, you start using these words, man, they will own you. And that's what we see most people are focused on. Oh, is there anybody that got cured of this disease? Is there? Okay, yeah, whatever. We're just saying, let it all go. It's all made up anyway. Just like the whole legal system, it's all made up. It's all fiction. So do you want to play in the fiction world, or do you want to play in the limitless world where all the knowledge comes from and all the truth? Because it's limitless, and it's there, and it's available, and we can access it anytime we choose. That's all we have to do is choose. Where do we want to do? We want to play in this this realm that has limits, or do we want to play in the realms that are limitless? The choice is ours. Your wish is your command in every sense of the way. And you can see in this fast-paced world how materialism has taken over. right? More and 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 more. And look what's happening to the planet. Planet's saying, I've had enough of you guys. And it's trying to correct itself and doing all these things, weather changes and everything. It's just overloaded from what man's been doing. Imbalance after imbalance after imbalance after imbalance. And, the planet has got the upper hand because it can only work with balance. It can't work with anything else. Us with free will, we got everything else in between to work with. And what do we choose? We choose everything but balance. But I'm glad, more and more people out there are playing in the realm of balance. And we're seeing a lot of good things happen on the planet, even though there's the worst of the worst, the best of the best has to be happening at the same time to keep the balance, right? And it's out there if you pay attention. I know there's a lot of crap, and it's hard not to look at it because there's so much of it, but the focus is always on the balance part of things, because all the other stuff is always all around us everywhere, no matter where you go. And if we keep our focus on that, then it ain't going to be fun life. So we do the best we can. It's wonderful experiences to go through. You just take it day by day, and you work with today, work with now, because that's all we can work with. You will see the massive transformations in every level when you embrace this. If you start letting the fear take over, you're going to be going into the phase of addition again, because people saying that you're lacking, you're missing this, that, and the other thing, and so on and so forth. And we've seen that a lot. People start going back into the addition thing. Some of them go back into the heavy stimulants, animal products, or whatever, because they've got lost through their programming and through the environments that they're surrounded with, which is all programmed in the same sense of things in the addition realm, where you're only going to spiral out to more and more confusion in those realms, because it's an illusion when you're tapping into that addition realm. It's you're going to limit yourself big time. It's only when you start going into that art of subtraction, I like to say, is when everything starts to change, and you start being self-realized in all the different levels, and so on and so forth. So the choice is always yours. Your wish is your command. Whatever you want is what you're going to manifest, no matter what it is. And some will choose the misery, pain, and suffering. And that's okay if you embrace it and you just for the experience. But if you're poor me syndrome and pointing fingers and all that, I can only elevate your soul. If you're going to do it for the experience, wonderful. Be in your misery, pain, and suffering, but be content for the experience. I've seen people, a few people, I remember one woman, she got in this accident, and remember she's going, "Oh, you poor thing." No, she goes, "This is amazing experience," and she could barely walk and stuff. She was in an accident, right? So that's the difference, right? That's the difference. Like yourself, Ranjit, it's always a wonderful experience, even though you're going through pain, suffering, this and that. Right now you're having some kidneys are screaming a little bit, the system a little bit, but who cares? We move on because we know we always come out stronger. Always. Do some castor oil packs, do some burnt stick, help those babies.
Can I share my experience about the cold water? Because because it's all about MFS. This is all about MFS. And I mean, now you know that it was really cold, right? Because you saw that article about Stansthorpe, right? Because people think Brisbane it's warm most time of the year, but you know, in winter we don't really get a winter, but every now and then we get a cold snap. So we had a cold snap, and it was so funny because the way that I thought about it, right? I didn't know we were going to have a cold snap. I had no idea. All I knew, it was after it was the new moon, end of month, 3-day dry, and I've been talking to God about jumping in the cold water because he knows how much I don't like cold water, and I need to keep breaking down my fears and my paradigms in my mind. So, okay, so I set the date. It was actually that Tuesday when we had the cold, blowy winds come through, and then someone on the Facebook page, thank God, him bless you, Pick Ragnar, put that photo up of him in the icy water, and that just like that. And I thought, what the hell am I doing? I'm going to do it in the, you know, I took my dry to 3.5 days, and my body was just burning, right? Absolutely burning. And that guy put that photo up, and I had that image in my head. I said, if you can go in icy water, I'm thinking I can get in this water here, even though it didn't have ice, but it was freezing, absolutely freezing. Anyway, it took me 40 minutes to get in. My husband was like over the moon I was going to do it, right? Because he loves me going through breakthroughs and things like that. He knows how much I hate the cold, so I don't even do cold showers. And he was laughing, and then I was fighting with him. I told him to piss off, go away, I'm going to do this on my own. And then he'd come back laughing his head off, and he goes, I'm just going to be on the phone, but I want to take a photo of you from the balcony. And I said, go away. So like I'm fighting with myself for 30 minutes. I said, come back, I'm ready to get in. So, you know, back and forth, and I eased my way in because I went for my feet just because they're always cold on my dries, and they were freezing, they were ice popsicle, and then I slided myself in, and it hurt. It really, really hurt, but I had to fight my brain. I was swearing at myself. You know, how can I do a master fast system for 100 odd days? I can't even jump in this bloody water. You know, all those things, you know, that you fight with your mind. And I remember you coming too, Gina, you go, I told you to just jump in. So you're in there, and I'm going, oh my God, all these master fast people are here with me, you know, helping me. And so yeah, it took a while to get it. Once I got in, it was freezing, was hurting, and I was in it for about 10 or 15 minutes and just walking around, and I just absolutely got this elation. It was like you do go into another realm. So I was just like, oh my God, my body just cooled down, and it was just so magical. It was so magical. I didn't put my head in, I only went up to my neck, but I will put my head in next time. When I came out, quickly took that photo, and then I just jumped in the shower, and just like all night I was just on this incredible high that I thought, yeah, I can go icy water now. I can go minus 20 degrees. But yeah, it was just the most, like, to add that to the toolbox of you know, enjoying this long master fast, really, because 180 days is a long time. So I'm thinking to myself, like, how does it get better? Like, how do we get even, you know, more excited? And now I'm thinking, like, I could do other things, like jump out of a plane, or, you know, do this, you know, crazy stuff, crazy in the mind stuff. But I felt like I was 25. That's the thing. Like, you're not, you know, getting close to 50. I actually feel like, you know, you feel so young, and you got that young, you know, your risks, and you know, that fires back in, and you feel like you can do things that you weren't able to do, and you forget about the whole world. You know, you forget about your mind, because your mind just neutralizes. So even when I had that fear, automatically when I went into the water, the mind went. You just went straight into your body, straight into the soul. It just, the mind goes. It's just like, wow, that's a really, really cool experience. But yeah, like, you guys were with me, you in your ocean, you know, Italy, and you were there, Steve. Everybody was there, and that beautiful man that put that photo up for me, he must have known. And yeah, it was just a great experience. So I love sharing that with us. Hope it serves.
That's one thing I truly miss. Those cold dips. Oh man, those dips, swims. I was in there for a while. It was just awesome experience. Awesome. It's really something when you're on these long drives and you jump in that cold. Whoa, there's nothing like it. Nothing like it.
Yeah,
It's just.
I get it. You get it. Hey, like when you're on it's all about the dries. I know we get to the dries because it's a glorified dry fast, really. And it's about, and I understand what you're doing, Gina. I understand the system. Like you get to know as you go longer, where this realm is, and then as you trust and surrender into it, and then you realize like what you say, like Miriam, like you told me how you really loves the cold, and I get it because your body's so heated up, and it's a grace when you jumped into it. Like you go, whoa, man, like that's just, thank you, God, for giving me this experience. Like you'd never had this experience if you're caught in your mind all the time.
It's addictive. If you have access to do it daily, it gets addictive. I didn't want to miss it. I was going through storms and stuff, but I kept going. It was awesome.
Oh, wow. It's worth doing the dries for it, that's for sure.
Yeah. That's
I knew it.
Whole different ballgame.
Oh, and I'm a person that hates the cold. I hate it. Being from Queensland, tropics.
Yeah, I was never a big fan of the cold, especially us, we get long winters, but hey, enjoy it, enjoy all the weather, whatever we have, enjoy it. It's all good. It's all good. Embrace all what Mother Nature gives us because she knows what she's doing.
That's what I always say to the soul, bring it on. Bring it up. Let's do it.
Exactly.
Do everything. Break through it, as much as you possibly can while we're still here in this life, in this physical form. It doesn't, it's 100%. 100%. Every day we wake up, it's 100% in the physical form. It's our choice what we choose to, to do. And that's how I feel these days. I know I'm on 107, 108, I think. No, 107, 108 on Monday. Yeah, so it's like, where else do you go, Gino, after this? Like, what happens? Just gets better.
Let us know.
Yeah.
It's a permanent high.
There's only Carl, his brother, that did 180 days.
Yeah.
Once, and Mara, he's still going, right? He's still going.
Yeah, and you're right. No one believes you. Like even what Steve's saying to his boss, and no one, like, they don't, like, what do you do? Like, that's what I was thinking to myself, do I have a camera on myself or something? I don't know. Like, you think, not that I care anyway, but it's just it's your reality. It's your illusion that you've created. And it works in the physical, like what you said, Steve, like you're up here with God and then you come down to the observed state and then it comes down to the physical, and then because you're up there, it's much nicer. Life seems to be much better.
Yeah, and all these states that we go through, they're all real. We create them, they're real. The fears, the hates, the anger, whatever, they're all real. So why not choose peace, balance, correct conduct? Being that plasma love always flowing all the time. That's the challenge, because none of us have been trained for that. It's not the norm out there. If if the people holding the guns that did not take orders from the warmongers, there would never be a war again. Right. The solution is so simple. Why isn't it happening? Because programming works. They know how to mass program. And it's done through food, through water, through air, through frequencies, through everything else, and all the new stuff that we know and we don't know about. So, we have to do something different, and we have to do something different that's completely, massively different than what's going on out there. And this is why we're living and loving this lifestyle, because we can't go on what's happening out there.
No.
It's not sustainable. It's just not sustainable. Look at all the whales and this and that washing up shore, and all the forest deforestation and the pollution in the oceans. How much more can the earth take? I don't know.
Much.
It's gonna swallow us up and recycle us sooner or later. That would be the best. Get rid of humanity so it can find balance again. I don't know. It's we got to focus on the good stuff. Like I said, it's just we get so much is happening out there. It's just whoa, man. Is it when is humanity gonna wake up and stop the nightmare? Because it's all it is. It's a nightmare that we've accepted.
I really feel that power, what you said. You only focus, like, even with emotions and everything like that. You can cut any negative emotion up. You can wake up the next day and you can be a brand new person, right? You can do that. It can be suddenly. It doesn't have to take time if you don't want to. But people mostly will go through their mind and take the slow pace. It can just happen instantaneously, and that's where, I reckon, like what you said right at the beginning about people complaining and and going into that realm, that field.
Mm-hmm.
It's very difficult, and challenging for people like, say, us all here in MFS, and you have that confronted. But you can either cut off the energy and move away from it. There's choices that you can make, change your environment, do this. There's so much things that you can do. But I actually don't think you have to stay in complaints. I'm so much more like what you just said. Just focus on the good. Talk about the good. There is awareness. I understand that, but we kind of know what's going on anyway. But the more that you focus on those higher, expansive energies, the more the other stuff will sort itself out, because we're the balance, right? So we neutralize all that stuff. I don't want to talk to anyone that complains anymore. Like, I just don't. I know they're all there, and those people, many of them, they don't even realize they're complaining. They actually think they're doing whatever. I only want to talk to people that complain that are in my field. So here in MFS, if they're fasting and if they're my parents or my people that I love and care about, that's it. The rest of it, I don't want anything to do with it. I moved myself and removed myself from that situation so much of letting go and art of subtraction, that I'm in this space where we need this group of MFS and this support system, because this is the place I want to be. And I don't know of many other places that you can get it. Like I've done, Steve's done AA. It takes you so far. I've done Toastmasters. It takes you so far. Organised religions or spiritual groups. I don't know how far that takes you. It can only take you so far. It all comes back to you and, being within yourself. And, if you create something that's just much more powerful, of us living in this power of just always being in those high expansive, then we are showing the way. As Rana said before, we are the change. We're being the change. We're showing the change. And this is why I'm so positive. I don't know. Like, I feed off this more nourishment, because I'm not feeding off food. I feed off this more, and then I crave for it more, and I give more, because my body's just so much freaking full of love. Like, I've got nowhere else to give it. You give someone that complains love, and they don't even receive it. Like, they're not even in receipt of it. You can pour it on them a bit, and they may feel a little bit of you, but like, I just want to pour love on someone that just receives. That's why I go to the trees. Because when you go to the trees and you hug a tree and you're just so full of love, and you give that back, you go, well, and you feel that go through the soil and everything, like what you're talking about before. You actually feel completely so connected to the earth. Then you go, well, I am doing something. I am giving back. I am, even though the maybe the mortals or the humans aren't able to receive it at the moment, but there are animals and plants and other energy forms that receive it. Like, you feel it, like you go, wow, that's just amazing. I mean, I love people to receive it more so you can, get that feedback. But sometimes when you go hug a tree and you give pour that huge expansive love over it, man, what you get back is just incredible. Like, how far does this go, Gino? Like, this exchange of that high expansive energy back and forth, of energy sources that receive and give back, receive and give back is, oh man, it's just the only way to live. I've actually given up on humans. Like, I just think, okay, you walk around in your happy self in your suit, and you walk around, and if they want to receive it, grab it. If you don't want to receive it, bugger off. Because, like, yeah, that's it, isn't it? Hey, isn't that right, Steve?
Yeah.
Honestly, bugger off, because, like, how much love and stuff, and how much can I talk to you? I've let go of so many friends. I really have, because, like, I just can't relate. So you only can relate to people like us here, right, who've been in this realm and understand it, that you go, okay, who am I going to express to? Who am I going to give to? Like, you just go, well, I've got to hug a tree nearly every day, because the energy that you get is just so high that you've got to find a way to ground yourself. So you've got to give it out. You can't keep it yourself isolated. Like what Steve said before, you can't keep yourself isolated. When you're in these emotions and high expansive fields, you've got to give it, because what happens if you don't, I'm finding, is that you will revert back very, very quickly to be relatable, all that sort of stuff. You revert back. But when you give, and if you can't give it to another human, give it to an animal, or give it to something that receives it. I don't care. I put all my high energy, expansive stuff out there, because, like, I've got to give. It just keeps, that cycle just keeps happening. And I know this, Gina, you know what I mean? Like, I know this is happening, and it's great. I don't even know what I'm doing. I'm just surrendered.
There you go.
Just completely surrendered. But I freaking love it. Like, I don't feel bad or anything. I don't feel any low emotions much at all now. It's sort of like just walking on the clouds. I can't understand how Jesus walked on water.
Exactly.
Like, because you're on a different level. Like, you're on this other magnetic force that you just go, wow, what was that? But you remember it too. But you remember it from, I don't know if it's when you're a baby in a room or something, but you somehow, like, it's a knowingness, it's a familiarity. It's like you know it, and you just got to go with it. And this support group really helps me, Gino. Like, it probably helps other people, because I've got nowhere else to express it. Who am I going to talk to? Really, there's just the tree, which I love.
Yeah, it's tough out there. It's really tough, and this is why most will not succeed, because they don't stay connected, and they're trying to do it on their own. Okay, good luck. I haven't seen many succeed on their own. It's challenging enough when we're connected and being with a group, because we're not being supported out there in this. Everything's completely against everything we're doing, pretty much. Telling you to drink water, we don't drink water. Telling you to eat, we don't want to eat. Telling you to stop sugar, we're drinking sugar. We're telling you, everything we're doing, dog, is complete opposite. So it's really funny. I don't know, just keep going and keep going and keep going and keep going some more. Oh boy, we're getting up to 3 hours. So
yeah,
it's been awesome. I think we'll call it a close. So thank you so much, Steve.
Thank you
for sharing your heart. And this is awesome. I'm sure many people will relate to your story out there, and hopefully it turns some lights on in some people, so they can be inspired, because somebody always inspires somebody, and that's what makes people decide to change. Whether it's reading a book or talking to somebody or whatever. So this is why we do this, and we stay connected, because I've seen how important it is to have the support. Because when I look back, there was nothing. There was nothing for support. but I just had that spark inside me to know that there was a way out of this without going mainstream. I dreaded even thinking about going that route. So that little spark, just I kept focusing on it, and it was challenging, very, very challenging, especially those couple of years bedridden, and then a few other years here and there. There's a lot of challenges, but I'm only here because of fasting. That's all. I'm still standing here because of fasting, and a lot of you kind of understand what's going on with what I'm talking about, because you always come out stronger. Fasting will make you stronger in every sense of the way. If you're in the belief that it's making you weaker, it's just because you need to fast more to gain the understanding. And it takes whatever it takes, 2, 3, 5 years, 10 years, doesn't matter. It's going to happen if you commit and you devote. So thank you again, brother. We'll call it a night. I can stay here all night, but we'll wrap it up, and we'll connect again. Good night, everybody. Keep that plasma level.
Oh, good night. Thank you, Steve. Thanks, Gino. Thanks, Rana. Bye, everybody.
Ciao, ciao.
Thank you, Susan.